It's very interesting because the Great Depression and World War II were these seminal defining events, obviously of the last century. We hit the Great Depression, our economy melted down. There's a lot of theories and explanations as to why this happened. We went into World War II and we mobilized millions of young men and women, sent them overseas to kill and to die. We put factories to work, creating all the munitions and the planes and the tanks and everything that we needed to conduct war. And the narrative that we get from a macroeconomic standpoint is that this got us out of the Depression. Of course, getting out of a depression doesn't feel all that great when it's because of a war. But if you just care about spreadsheets, this looks pretty fantastic, right? Now, all of a sudden, GDP is going up and unemployment is down. We've created a lot of jobs. Wonderful. The idea was when we come back from this war, when we demobilize, now that we've won, what do we do to keep us from sliding right back into depression? And the major economists at the time were saying, like, there's nothing fundamentally different about America in 1945 as there is America in 1935. If we shut down these factories, if we bring all these troops home, we're just going to be right back into Great Depression. That's not what we did. What we did is we created what we like to talk about, a new version of America, the suburban experiment, this idea that if we could just create enough velocity in our economy, enough transactions, if we just create enough stuff, we could keep not only the economy rolling, not only GDP growth, but we create lots of jobs, we create lots of wealth and lots of prosperity. And so we have spent the last 7+ decades functioning on a system that measures success in terms of transactions, in terms of velocity of money. How do we get GDP up? How do we get growth up? How do we experience more growth? If you're a macroeconomist, this makes a lot of sense. And in the very narrow field of macroeconomics, we fret over GDP decline of 2% or 3%. It freaks us out. How do we get that back? How do we create more stimulus, more jobs? How do we get more money in the economy? But if you're a community, if you're a local government, if you're a collection of people working together at the local level, transactions don't do you much good if you lose money on them. If you run a mile of pipe out into the wilderness and try to build, a dozen homes along it, sure, that all creates jobs, it all creates transactions, it all creates growth. But now you, as a local community, have a mile of pipe you have to fix and maintain forever. And you only have a dozen homes paying the freight for that. That math does not make sense.